everybody, this is Sheila Aliens, and today is September 23rd, 2011. And today is the day that the UARS satellite is supposed to fall down to Earth.
Now to that 6-ton satellite that is expected to break into pieces and hit Earth tomorrow. NASA is predicting the pieces will fall into the ocean, but says it's too early to say for certain. We have exclusive access into the command center, which is tracking the satellite's descent, and ABC's Neil Karlinski is right there. Good to have you there, Neil. Good morning.
Good morning, Robin. The UARS satellite is in its final approach. This is one of the command centers that is tracking the satellite around the clock. And the latest analysis you can see on their big screen here, the circle that's just north of Australia. They say right this second that is the likeliest impact zone, but it's not an exact science. It could shift and end up anywhere along any of those squiggly lines, which includes the eastern half of the United States.
In this simulation, you can see how the school bus-sized satellite might break up as it burns through the atmosphere, shredding most of it, but leaving 26 chunks intact. Pieces which are expected to spray an area as wide as 500 miles. If the satellite's speed shifts significantly, so could the impact zone, which could be anywhere along these tracks. In the U.S., that means from eastern Texas crossing up through Michigan, or possibly just south of Florida.
It's just not under control at all, and that makes it very difficult to predict where it's going to come down.
So again, we are looking at Friday afternoon, possibly just north of Australia. Australia, of course, is where Skylab came down in the 1970s. Bad luck for them, but it's not an exact science. Again, the eastern half of the United States still in the impact. Bad luck for them.
Even if NASA's 6-ton UARS satellite does not cause any injury or damage when it re-enters Earth's atmosphere today, there is more space junk headed our way next month. A defunct German space telescope called ROSAT is set to hit the planet at the end of October, and it even is more likely than UARS to cause injury or damage in populated areas. But at the end of October or beginning of November, ROSAT, a 2.4-ton X-ray telescope built by the German aerospace lab DLR, will re-enter the atmosphere, presenting a 1 in 2,000 chance of injury. Those mirrors will be far more likely to survive a fiery re-entry. On the ROSAT website, DLR estimates that up to 30 individual debris items with a total mass of up to 1.6 tons might reach the surface of the Earth.
A Navy missile hit that bullseye during the night, as you just heard from Matt Mayer, striking that failed spy satellite on the first try. NBC's Jim Mikushevsky at the Pentagon this morning with more on this story. Jim, good morning.
Good morning, Ann. Military officials are telling us this morning here at the Pentagon on impact that satellite exploded into a fireball, into thousands of pieces, and none of them were any larger than a football. With all the accuracy of a high-tech sharpshooter, this was one shot, one kill. In a precision operation executed almost to the exact second, the 3-stage rocket blasted off from the Navy cruiser Lake Erie, 600 miles northwest of Hawaii. It took just over a minute for the rocket to soar 130 miles into space, where military officials say the warhead scored a direct hit on the satellite's fuel tank and its 1,000 pounds of toxic hydrazine fuel, which could have posed a threat to people on the ground if the satellite had crashed to Earth. Debris from the satellite created a mini meteor shower. Fireballs could be seen over western Canada as broken chunks of the satellite entered the Earth's atmosphere. Pentagon officials predict almost all the debris from the satellite will burn up within 48 hours. The mission was considered so sensitive, Defense Secretary Robert Gates personally made the decision to pull the trigger. At a price tag of some $30 to $40 million, some critics still argue whether this shoot-down was necessary at all. And while it will take probably about 2 or 3 days to collect... At a price tag of some $30 to $40 million, some critics still argue whether this shoot-down was necessary at all. At a price tag of some $30 to $40 million, some critics still argue whether this shoot-down was necessary at all. And while it will take probably about 2 or 3 days to collect all the data to figure out just what happened here, there appears to be little doubt that this was mission accomplished, Anne.
Pretty dramatic. All right, Jim Mikuszewski, thanks so much this morning.
This is a Daily News Update. I'm Petty Officer Latrice Ames. The U.S. Navy successfully intercepted a non-functioning satellite February 20th. USS Lake Erie, part of a task force of 3 Navy warships, fired a single modified tactical standard missile 3, hitting the satellite before it entered the Earth's atmosphere.
Our objective was to intercept the satellite, reduce the mass that might survive re-entry, vector that mass as best we could into unpopulated areas, ideally the ocean, breach the hydrazine tank so that we could vent the hydrazine off, the toxic fuel, and then have all of that done prior to impact.
Exit to the far side. Exit to the far side. Exit to the far side.
At a price tag of some $30 to $40 million, some critics still argue whether this shoot-down was necessary at all.